People may think, people may theorize that, giants aren't around anymore or they don't roam the lands. I'm here to say they are still here. Oh, not hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shanclen Shadow Productions. Now this one I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit first-hand accounts of times I've witnessed, experienced, seen, felt, and was terrified by giants, and some backstory behind it. So I'm going to take you back in time. Back when this world was still being created, back when the spirits were still trying to get everything ready for human beings to be able to come onto this world. Back when there's few humans here and there, but there were still monsters, there were still giants, there's still all these other beings out there that were considered too dangerous for humanity to be able to thrive and survive on this world. And one of these beings is called Ye'itso. So Ye'itso it comes out to English as Big Giant. So Big Giant was one of these beings that would terrorize the land to be able to go and consume and eat people and all these other different things. So, but he wasn't the only one that was out there in the world. If you look at all these other people and their religions and races, wherever they come from, they all tell of the giants that used to roam the land. And so were these beings physical? Were they, metaphysical? Were they just stories? I would have to say they're real. We have a lot of evidence of these beings that actually roam the land. And from even firsthand accounts, I've actually been in the presence of a couple giants in my time when we were paranormal investigating and even out doing ceremonies and stuff. So in our tribe, we had two twin warriors, Nayet Nazana and Tobashishchene. And these two twin warriors used to go out and fight these evil beings to be able to make sure that their people and then the future upcoming human race that was coming onto this world were safe to be able to live the land. So to be able to go against these beings, I've kind of mentioned these guys before in previous videos, but they used to go up to their father, the sun god, to be able to gather weapons from him to be able to go and fight off these giants or all these other monsters that used to roam the land. So with that, they went through so many different tests to be able to go and gather their weapons to be able to go against evil back in the day. But it was one of those things that was pretty wild, was like the sun being and the sun god, those were his children too. So they had to go through all these tests to be able to make sure that they were of his sons. So after they gathered their weapons, they came back and they fought off evil and they fought off Ye'itso. And so they were able to defeat him and defeat many other giants that were out there in the world. So they went to certain locations. And there's always that thing is just like, where are these monsters? Say like you were killed like a giant. Say you were to kill one of these monstrous beings, where would you put their bodies? And so these locations where their burial sites were for some of these monsters are located kind of throughout, especially at least for our tribe, it's located throughout, I would have to say, certain sacred sites. I'd have to say, I'm not going to go into detail too much because I don't want no people going over there and digging them up, but that's where it kind of goes into more so of my time, of my encounters with these beings. So we went on an investigation at a location called Vulture City Ghost Mine. And so this is outside of Wickenburg, Arizona, and near there, I'm not going to say exactly where, but near there is an old burial site of where a lot of these monsters were put away for a long time. And they always say in our traditional teachings, you're not supposed to be going to dig, and you're not supposed to go excavate or do all these different things because you don't know what's buried underneath the ground. So when this place and these locations were dug up, say from mining, from excavation, or just building locations and whatnot, in some of these locations, the evil that was buried and was in a sense released and was able to kind of come out and roam the lands. So in this location, there used to be a bunch of different tribes that were in the vicinity, were in the location. And they used to have medicinal people. They used to have medicine people that used to go to these locations to be able to perform ceremonies, to be able to contain the evil that was within the ground. They used to contain the evil that was there to make sure evil doesn't go in there, harvest their bodies, resurrect them, or to be able to take all that evil that's within the ground and everything. So when it comes to that, this location was unfortunately taken or was a part of the excavation, digging, and mining. So at this location, the story goes that Henry Wickenburg was walking around and he went and saw a quartz crystal that was hanging out of the ground. So when it came to that, Evil was just like, okay, so this was during the time when all the natives were kind of put on reservations. There was no really any medicinal people kind of left to be able to do those protections on those locations. So Evil was like, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of this. So they went and they approached a man that was walking in the desert above one of these sacred sites where the burials were, and they presented him with a quartz crystal on the ground. So what it means when a quartz crystal, especially in Arizona, they have a lot of gold mines here. So whenever you see quartz crystals kind of in the ground, that normally means that there's gold lying around too. So that sparked Henry Wickenburg's curiosity to be able to start digging. And so when he started digging up the mine, he, in a sense, that he did find gold, but there was also evil essence that was inside of that location as well. So come to find out that this is the founding of Vulture City itself. So Vulture City was a small mining town that kind of grew up to be very, very pretty big. So what was very interesting was that during this time when they were mining and they were kind of starting to get really deep in there, the people that were there in Vulture City actually started reporting seeing sightings of big, tall people walking around, big shadows that used to walk around. And it actually made the newspaper at the time over there. I don't have the copies, unfortunately, but it made the newspaper over in Wickenburg, Vulture City News, and I think it was Wickenburg News. So it was actually being caught firsthand by the people that were actually working there and living there themselves. And mind you, these guys weren't Native American or really anything like that. So, for them to be able to start seeing eyewitness accounts of giants being able to come up was pretty amazing. So now, kind of going toward modern times, or modern days, when we actually went over there, we went on a tour guide with a guy named Jay Yates, and he became a really good friend of ours too. So on this, he was telling us this one story about there was a table inside of a building called the bunkhouse, and on this table there was, I would have to say, a layer of dust on there. And with this layer of dust, during the tour, somebody noticed that there was a handprint that started manifesting on the table. So they're just like, what is that? And so sure enough, a little bit later on, there was another handprint on the other side that started showing up. Not too long after, there was two lines that kind of came up like that, made like a W symbol connecting the hands. And this was during a ghost tour that was over there. So there had to have been a couple, I would have to say about 30 people all standing there witnessing all this manifest on the dust, all this manifest on the table. And so when he told us that, he showed us the picture of it, and this is what it looked like. Now this image right here is an image of that portrays Yaitso in our sand paintings. And if you were to ever see like cave drawings or anything like that, this represents the giants of those stories, of those beings that used to roam the lands and that were kind of going and killing and eating people. So we did the investigation while we were there, and we asked the spirits, is Yaitso, are you here? And sure enough, we heard like a big, deep guttural growl come through our SB7 spirit box. And that sent chills down my spine because I was just like, holy shit. And then we were in a building called the Assay Building. And that's pretty much where they used to do all the alchemy process, all the gold, to be able to get it ready for preparation to be sent out to wherever. And so that building was a big kind of warehouse to where like it was a 2-story building, but there was no second story. So we would hear tapping on the roof. It would be like, or the second story window that was up there. And mind you, there's no second story up there. And I used to be able to run the ghost tours over there. I'll probably get into a different story about that. But when I was doing those ghost tours, we were people that went on the tours. I was told that I encourage people to be able to take pictures. I encourage people to kind of do a mini investigation while they were there as well. And some of the pictures that were taken of there, you would see faces inside of the second story windows. And normally when you're trying to like think about it, you know, there's no second story up there. It's just a window that goes up to the second story because it was all big, one open room. So you would see like a big face right there, and that was like one of the giants that was right there, which actually leads to how I was on Ghost Adventures the first time with Disturbed in Wickenburg. And so after this investigation, we were invited by Zach Bagans to be able to go and investigate, do a ceremony, and pretty much help him confirm the stories and legends of these giants that used to roam the land. So even in his investigation, the SLS camera that he had showed the giant manifesting inside of the building that was right there. So, you know, when that was really cool for like a third party to be able to confirm that as well. So while we were there, you know, we talked with the spirits of the normal people, town folk that were there living there. Asked them, are there giants here? Are these evil beings? Are they roaming the land? They said yes. They're consuming us. They're eating us. So we did some ceremonies to be able to put like a protection around the town to be able to make sure those evil souls don't come in here. So, but I would have to say for a good couple months I was a ghost tour guide there, and then there were some other beastly monsters that kind of came out at the time, but I'll leave those for another video too. But to be able to, you know, hear these stories of Ye'itsul and all these big monsters and giants, to be able to see, feel, and be around beings that you thought were just stories or they're just metaphors or anything like that, but to actually hear their guttural growls, you know, was pretty intense for me. And when I was a paranormal investigator, it was pretty awesome to be able to get the validity or the validation that our teachings and our stories that we have go so much further than what we were actually told, as far as for, you know, these beings actually being real. Now, people always ask me about red-haired giants, and people always ask me about like the tribes over in Nevada that used to go to war with these giants. But it was also not even just the red-haired giants. There's stories of giants all over the world. And were there some good ones? Pretty sure there were. Were there some bad ones? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were. So, you know, it just really kind of depends on where you come from. It really depends on your stories, your religions, your region of where you live at. And that's, I've been seeing like a lot of these TikTok stories of like somebody seeing a giant walking on top of a mountain, or these doorways that lead into mountains that were giants' doorways. Yeah, there's locations like that out there. There's spiritual doorways, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend trying to go in there, everybody. Just, yeah, if you run into a giant, just run the other way. And the people always ask me, they're always like, well, how come you don't give us like ways on how to kill these beings? I'm like, bro, I'm sorry, but you're a normal human being. You don't have any trainings or anything like that. I'm not going to advise you to be able to go and attempt to try to kill these things. You're not going to make it, man. So, you know, that's why I always like recommend people to be able to, whenever we encounter these darker evil beings, it's like, bro, be realistic, man. You're not gonna make it out of there. So I don't advise people to do that. So that's one of those things. Just like if you're trained up, for the people that know, and for the people that are being trained, no. And that's something that like I'm not gonna be able to advocate for people to go out and train to be able to fight these things. There's already certain people that are specifically chosen for these tasks. So yeah, just leave it up to them and just, you know, be safe and just protect yourself. That was one of my major encounters that I had with giants at the time, and it was pretty gnarly. So to be able to hear the stories of the Nyayinas and Tolbash's Chinook going against Ye'itsul back in the day, you know, and then still somehow, like, even though after they killed him, their spirit is still could be roaming around the lands. And that's why they always say, don't be digging up the land, don't be digging up these certain locations, because you don't know what's lying underneath your feet. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode, everybody. So my tickets for the Shanclen Shadow Productions meet and greet, Meeting of Shadows, I'm going to actually extend the ticket time to Sunday. So if you guys haven't yet, go get your tickets at the link below now. I'm going to be doing a live stream here tonight as well. So come on, hop over there. If you have any questions from this video or anything, hop over there. Go ahead and ask me those questions. And yeah. But other than that, you know, got some exciting things coming up here very soon. Winter and fall and Halloween are upon us, so expect some more creepy videos. So, but thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. I'm going out. People always ask me, have I ever encountered a giant? You're looking at him, 6'5". There was one guy the other day I saw that was actually taller than me. I was just like, I had to actually look up. Yeah, it's so working at Best Buy. This is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. In this town we go. La, 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 la. You know, be safe and just protect yourself. Oh, shit. So, I ran out of monsters, so I'm drinking Powerade. Have a good day, everybody. Demons.